All right. If we start, we got to start. You know, can't just not start. I could play that whole song. That's where I'm at now in my career. I don't know. Dan Duran's here. Guess Fred and look at him.
Hey. Woo. Good to be back. Hey. I got an applause.
It's good to be back. It's good to be anywhere, really.
Call me legend.
Yeah, the legend Dan Duran is here. I can't remember who it was. They said this was before Trump got elected. They said, hey, look at it this way. Look at the bright sides. Now we get to all know. Now we get to all die together.
He's bringing people together.
Yeah, he's bringing people together because we're all going to die at the same time.
Yeah.
Here's Phil Hahn.
Willie. The following episode of Humble and Fred Radio is brought to you by FYI Music News, The Retirement Sherpa, Gig Sky, The Chambers Plan, Palma Pasta, CDN Technologies, and our newest sponsor, Sticker U, where you can get your stickers on Queen Street or order anywhere in the world. If you'd like to talk to Humble and Fred, call 1-833-437-8465. That's 1-833-HF-STINK. And now from the worldwide headquarters of the Humble and Fred Show, here is Humble Howard.
Thank you. Thank you.
Got it.
Hashtag legend.
Legend.
Yeah, I don't really, I want to talk about this now because as the show goes on, I know I will, I don't know, run out of energy for all the nonsense.
So you're at peak energy right now.
This might be as much as I've got.
Okay.
Philly, can I get a cup? Welcome everyone. Richard Surratt, who is a Trump fan. That just put it right out there. Richard will be with us. He's the host of a conspiracy show. He'll be with us at 8. And there's nothing wrong with being a Trump fan. Let's just say that. You can. Not everyone likes the same things.
Absolutely. There's some questions I would always have if you're a Trump fan, though. You know, like, why?
Yeah, there's that. You know, when but I want to argue against myself for a couple seconds. Like, if you didn't know that it was Donald Trump and it was just some guy running that country.
So this is opposite you?
This is the opposite me.
Okay.
You'd have to look and say a president with a nearly 50% approval rating overall, a 95% approval rating in his party. You know, now we're in the primary season, Iowa, then New Hampshire, and so forth. And in the Iowa caucus for the Republicans, this current president just crushed it. And if you looked at just the surface stuff, you'd have to think, well, hey, things are pretty good.
Looks good on paper.
Looks good on paper. It's the jingoism, the dogma, the American, we're the greatest country in the world, the only people that stand for freedom. And I think in a time that served them well, where I think we're at now is the rest of the world watched that speech last night in real time. It wasn't a newspaper reporter that was there that gave it, you know, the Daily News came out a couple days later. You know, we all saw it. We all see it. And when they say those things, the rest of the world goes, well, that's not true. But I know it's not for the rest of the world, but they just don't seem to have any. The whole country has become his personality to me. Narcissistic, sort of, you know, a bit dumb.
So this is you again.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. That's right.
Good.
Sorry.
Just wanted to make sure because I was like, my mind was blowing up there for a second.
Yeah, that's a good point. I switched. Yeah. Thanks for that. Do you want a coffee too?
I would too, yeah.
Absolutely.
Poor
Thank
Phil.
you. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. Phil, you're like a little baby angel sent from Woodbridge. No, that's a good point. I didn't even know that was going on myself. I did. I switched in the middle. I'll go back for a second. On paper, that's a great way to phrase it. On paper, they seem like they're doing okay.
And I suppose if you're a Trump fan, with all those things on paper, you're willfully ignoring a lot of the facts because you like the guy. He's your guy, and it's hard to change your mind because he's doing some of the things you wanted to have happen. He wanted to stir up the whole old establishment way of things, you think.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not, he lies about a lot of that.
You know, I think in some weird way, it's almost like if you're a Hab fan, you can't stand the Leafs and vice versa. And even when one of those teams is doing well, you're hard-pressed to find any support for the other team because you hate them so much.
Right.
And I think for a lot of us that have a more liberal point of view, and I consider most Canadian conservatives like myself or moderates a more liberal point of view versus their point of view.
Right.
So it's hard for us to sit and watch it. I listened to 45 minutes of it last night on the way home from this gig I was doing, and you know, I said to you just before we started, I said I was so. It was perplexing to the point where I thought, oh no, I just drive into traffic at this point. It doesn't matter.
The environment, the
Just
coronavirus.
whatever, all of it. Just it doesn't matter. This guy's going to be president, by the way, for 4 more years. There's just no getting around it.
That's your prediction? What? Because the Democrats can't get their stuff together?
How long have I been saying that, Philly?
2015.
No, thank you, by the way. Thank you. The great thing about Phil is he has a great memory. He's brilliant, obviously. And if you ever need to fact check yourself,
Right.
fact check
He's there.
yourself.
So you're saying that you predicted this?
I predicted in 2015.
Yes.
I was saying this guy's going to be president.
2-term. Oh, yeah.
No. So but my question was,
Yes.
how long have I been saying he'll get elected again? Full stop.
When he entered the Republican nomination. and you
No, I'm
thought-
just talking about.
Yeah.
I don't think. When the last couple of months, I've been saying that there's no way he's going to lose. Mm-hmm. We talked about it last night, Dan and I, at dinner. It's just so hard, almost impossible, to upset an incumbent president. And you made a good point. I thought it's hard to upset an incumbent anything.
It is. Which is why I think term limits are a good idea for a lot of things. That's one thing that I think
right.
should be
The Howard
put in
Glassman
place.
plan.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Like
saying
even
it.
down to your school board. I
All
mean,
of
there's
it.
people on the school board that have been there forever, and they just park themselves and become, little education power mongers.
Little fiefdoms.
Yeah.
Then they get a school named after them after they retire.
So they shouldn't be there for
Thank you,
that
Phil.
long. There should be some sort of limit. And my thought about term limits in all these positions is this: that you can have 2 terms, and then you have to resign or whatever, and you can wait a term and then come back, and after a term you can come back again. But you
I love
can't
it.
have a consecutive.
I love it.
18.
You can't
years
have
or something.
18, 20 years in a job, a public job like that, because, well, I've been saying it as well. I said if you had term limits for politicians at whatever level, but certainly the highest levels, then you'd have people making decisions without the idea of getting reelected. Like then you would have, like today there's going to be this historic vote where they will vote to not impeach Donald Trump. And we can talk about the speech a little bit later. And I say this sincerely, it will be interesting knowing my politics, Dan's, Fred's to a degree. It will be interesting, I think, to hear Richard Surrett's viewpoint on it, because it will be completely different. And I think refreshing to hear and he is a smart guy. He's not a doofus, He's not some guy that just blindly is following this. He has opinions that are formed. He's a Hab fan.
For example.
He's a Hab fan.
But he'll
That's
tell you
fine.
why. He'll tell you
But
why.
at least he knows why he's a Hab fan.
Yeah.
Some people are Hab fans because I like poutine.
Montréal. Jacques Parizeau.
Stanley Cups.
Back to your Trump thing, though.
I'm sorry. Where was I?
It's okay. The Trump thing with the State of the Union, and Nancy ripped up the speech. And,
I haven't got to that yet.
Oh yeah,
I'm still talking about term limits.
right.
Yeah.
So, but to that point, the whole political system down there takes so long to choose an opposing candidate.
Yeah.
So like the Democrats are in the process right now, as opposed to the Republicans. If the
Well, the
Democratic
Republicans
would
are doing it, but the caucuses will just confirm Donald Trump.
Yeah, so he's already the candidate. He's been for years now, and then all the other people are vying for this position, and they're not doing it fast. It takes a year or two to sort of get a candidate, which is ridiculous.
Oh, I absolutely. But back to my point about term limits. So this historic vote today, I think there's 53 Republican senators because in the vote last week to not allow witnesses, the vote was 51-49, but 2 Republicans, Mitt Romney and one other person, voted with the Democrats.
Right.
But today they're going to... Oh, by the way, Fred's going to be on. After 8:30 today, we're going to talk to Fred. I know I'm jumping all around. We're going to talk to Fred. I'm also releasing the Fred picture. It's funny because I did this gig last night, and the guy that hired me is a big Homeland Fred fan, and we're talking before the show, and the first thing he says, "Can I see the picture?" It made me laugh, just the way he said it. Hey, just before I forget, can I see the picture?
Backstage access.
So, back to term limits. If you were only in that job for a short term, then today you could vote with your heart. Mm-hmm. You could vote and say, you know, because Dan, you told me several senators, at least one that you could think of, said to the effect, "I know he's guilty, but I'm not going to vote against him."
Exactly. But there's different rationales. One of the rationales that's coming out is that, well, we don't want to take out an elected president. There's an election coming right up. I know that he did it. We'll tell him, you know, we'll vote this way and let the people decide. But how's that? I mean,
I get that too.
Really do it.
I get that it's a very disruptive thing to do. But I don't know. We're not going to be around that much longer, you and I, maybe 20 years, 25 tops. The system will be exactly the same. Yeah. And the problem with it is that you get people in there that might be that person's opinion, but a lot of those people, Donald Trump right now has a 95% approval rating within the Republican Party.
Yeah.
Because they know it's good business that in order for them to keep their jobs, because they don't have term limits, they are going to vote with him and support him because they know that that's good business. They'll get reelected. And if they don't, he will actively campaign against him. So how is that the most incredible republic ever risen on the face of the earth? These are the things he was saying last night. Mm-hmm. It sounds so much like Nazi Germany to me sometimes. It's like, what? The greatest republic that man ever, the American spirit, the greatest people that have ever walked the face of the earth. And I was like, have you not read any other books? God damn it.
There's dozens of republics in this world.
No, exactly. The only free nation that earth has Jesus and God. And, you know, and of course he has to mention in one section now I'm doing the State of the Union. At one point he mentioned gun control and religion. And I was like, well, there you are, checking all the boxes. You dummy. I will defend. And another thing, by the way, worst orator ever.
I've always thought that.
He's horrible.
He does sort of bring it into a casual kind of world, but when you actually listen to how he's speaking and his cadence
is just so weird.
It's hard to take.
He has this thing where he pauses just before he says something, like it's going to be really important.
I'm surprised you lasted 45 minutes because I watched some of his stuff and I can't handle it for longer than 5 minutes. Maybe
I was going to turn it off.
Yeah,
it was about 20 minutes into it. And I thought, I've had enough of this. I've got the gist of it. I'll certainly have enough to talk about it tomorrow. And on a couple of occasions, it's true. I went to switch it, and I'm like, oh no, I'll give it a couple more minutes because it was fascinating, and and I ended up right to the very end, and I was listening to it on Fox, and at the end when Nancy Pelosi ripped up the State of the Union, I loved it because I was like, this is going to drive the conservatives mental. They're going to go crazy about this, and this is all you're going to hear today on conservative American radio and television is that Nancy Pelosi. Forget all the things that Trump's done.
And all the lies in the speech.
All the lies in the speech. All you're going to hear is that woman. How dare she? The Fox hosts were so, when it happened, they were like, it was kind of a neat moment because when it happened, they were like, oh, they could hear them both kind of go, something has just happened. Something that we were not expecting.
Really?
I don't know what to say. It appears that she's ripped up the speech. It was like they were like, an alien has come into the... I think there's an alien in the House of Speeches.
She's got a ray gun.
Some of the phrases. We're good at war fighting. At one point, he said.
Did he say that?
Yeah, we have the best war fighters.
Really?
Look it up. He said, we've got great war fighters. We have the greatest war fighters.
War fighters.
War fighters. And little Kate, we will never forget our war fighters. He just...
Can you imagine being that guy's teleprompter runner? The
Oh
guy
my
who
God,
runs
yeah.
the teleprompter? Like, where do you pick it up?
And I would like to announce that we're Astromeda, something. What's that, long? Oh, my God. He's like, and we're going to put American men and women back on the moon. It was great. And we will plant our flag on Mars. Mars. They're going to Mars. They have millions of people that can't afford health care, but they're going to go to Mars.
Socialist health care.
Oh, yeah, socialist. Like, it's funny, in America, the worst thing you can be is a socialist.
Because you're
you
right
know,
next to a communist.
So, like Jesus. The worst thing you can be is, because Jesus didn't, like, feed, what was the phrase? Feed the multitudes?
Yeah.
He didn't feed the multitudes that had paid their taxes. Stupid Jesus.
We were talking about that yesterday, about how it's astonishing to both of us, the Christian right, which, is so righteous about all the commandments and all the things of doing things right.
Yeah.
Adultery is wrong.
Oh, yeah.
And all the things that he is, and they aren't, and they still are, like maniac supporters of the president.
Didn't
Anyway.
Jesus give away food before he died? It's like, it's that sort of thing.
And by the way, the guy on Facebook that's going through all Trump's accomplishments, I said that. Hey, the guy's name is Sean McKenna. And Sean, of course I was saying it was just like Hitler, just to be inflammatory. It's okay when the right does that. It's okay when the right-wing people make outrageous claims and say, so, forgive me for saying it was like watching Hitler. Because it was for me. But Sean's facts about Trump's accomplishments, as I said, the way the thing works, the president signs into law and executive orders and all those things.
Sure.
Like there's the business of being the president that happens whether he's doing it or not. Donald Trump isn't researching these projects. These are projects that the White House administration, they bring to him, and it's great. And on paper, as I said, when I was being the right-wing guy, if you take him out of the equation, it's been, by any criterion, a successful presidency so far. Take the Mueller report out of it, take the probe, the impeachment. Remember, Sean, he was impeached. Third president in history. So, but take that away, and you just sort of dropped into it. Now you would have to think this guy has been successful. You can't argue against that. And Sean, I agree. He has done a lot of things, but it's not him. Donald Trump isn't. Like, look at the guy, Sean. Just look at who he is. He hosted The Apprentice. That's your president. So he isn't doing those things, African-American unemployment. You think Donald Trump had anything to do with that? The guy he doesn't know that Kansas is in Missouri.
There's
Kansas
a lot
City.
of things that he's done. A lot of the people who he's appointed is known for letting them run sort of autonomous things. And the only time he sort of checks in is when the media flags and seriously mean or when it's brought to his attention through the media, then he'll go down and drill down. But like the housing and all those other departments are doing kind of on their own, doing what they think is best to deregulate. And he's put all kinds of people who are lobbyists in power. So in the field, and so,
and again,
right.
we're gonna get to Dan Duran weather. Like I said, I knew
coming up.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to do this off the top of the show because I got in late last night. I know that as the show wears on, I'll just get back to making fart jokes.
Coming up,
but yeah, it's as a 60-year-old man, I can tell you that. We're first of all, most people make no difference. You can have an opinion, all that stuff I just said. It's just, who cares? I'm not going to change it. I'm not making any changes. You're not making any changes.
There's nothing we can do about
nothing
any
we
of
can
this,
do
'cause
about
we're
it.
Canadians to begin with.
And we're Canadians. Yes, I've heard about that.
It's in the rumor mill.
Yeah.
And this guy on Facebook that's Trump, that's great, good. And he probably, he probably cares more about Trump, like loving Trump, than I care about not loving Trump. And so I'm. It's okay to like the Habs.
Sure.
It really is, and there's nothing wrong with it, and it doesn't make you a bad person. But understand why not liking the Habs makes us if you're a Leaf fan, you can't understand it, right?
Right.
That's my opening remarks.
Trump was
right.
a Habs fan.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Now we get to some fun. We get to some Dan Duran fun. Dan Duran is also an angel. Mm-hmm. Mike Boone has this thing where when somebody's a really good guy, they're a sweetheart. He says, "Oh, that guy's a real sweetheart," and I like that. My thing is, if I like you, you're an angel. You're an angel sent from Brampton or something. All right.
From Bramley.
Where the Angel Factory is.
You're an angel sent from Didsbury. Here we go.
Yeah.
Dan Duran's an angel. Angel Dan Duran.
Dan Duran's an angel. Angel Dan Duran. Dan Duran's an angel. Angel Dan Duran. Dan Duran's an angel. Angel Dan Duran.
Hey, Sean McKenna. McKenna, how could you argue with guys that sing like that? Come on. Dan Duran. Sean, what's the report from Facebook right now?
It's active. It's active.
Active on Facebook?
It is.
The
Messing
guys,
it up.
I don't. By the way, you guys on Twitch, I don't have the Twitch on anymore, so I don't know what you're saying, but I welcome you. I wish you all well. You all seem like nice men and some women, I guess. I don't know.
Someone. I report back to you what's
let me know what's going
So
on.
it's all good.
Because I've given up.
It's okay.
Clearly, I've given up. Go ahead, Dan.
So we're in the precipice of a Texas low.
Uh-oh.
You know why they call it a Texas low?
Actually, I don't.
Because it came from Texas.
It's pretty low.
No. What? How happy he got there. Because it came from Texas. How bad?
Yeah, just like the Colorado lows. They
Yeah.
come from Colorado.
That makes sense, I guess.
So they make their way across the continent and are up from the south, and that's what's arriving tonight at midnight. So we're going to get about 10 centimeters of snow. It's going to be a snow show tomorrow.
Okay.
For the commute. So
Okay.
as we look at the forecast, maybe 10 centimeters of snow and all, and it's going to be, and there's weather advisories out right now for kind of anywhere along Lake Ontario where this thing is going to pass through. So just the northern side of up to Barrie, not all the way to Peterborough, but kind of along that corridor from Hamilton. And so like all this area is going to get into some snow, and then it's going to turn to possibly ice pellets. Freezing rain is going to be in there. It's going to be a little bit of a mess by the time it's all over on Thursday night.
Okay. To review,
Yes.
I'm going out for dinner at 7. Will that be... will everything be okay then?
So this is your forecast for you.
Yes. Can you
Okay.
give me the how, man? I'm having dinner with my daughter Spencer tonight and ex-wife Randy
Yes.
at downtown. Will that be okay?
I think you're going to be
Around
fine
7.
for that.
Okay.
7 is okay
All right.
in the Toronto area. But around when you return, things may start up a little bit. So about midnight is when it looks like it's going to hit. So
And-
a little bit before that.
And
a
then
little bit
through
after that.
tomorrow, very tough driving conditions.
Yeah, plan for that.
Plan for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe, depending where in the greater GTA, there might be some school bus cancellations, because it's always the ice and the road conditions that because of ice and wet
Yeah.
snow and that kind of thing packing down. That's what's going to keep a school bus off the road. So there you go. Temperature is going to be a little bit chillier. -2 tomorrow, -6 on Friday, -8 on Saturday, and then bounces back up to 0 and above 0 after that. So there you go.
Well, this
Well,
was
-3 today, by the way.
we got a lot of energy out in the first 25 minutes.
Yeah, we did.
Now we're just gonna. No.
You cleansed.
I don't know. I feel.
You did Trump cleansing right
I did a little Trump cleanse there.
A juice cleanse from Trump.
I did some Trump cleansing. I'm not sure it's completely out of me yet, though. I may have a round. I may go round 2 with my Gator Boy here.
Yeah.
Look at you.
Because there's you didn't get into the Rush Limbaugh thing.
Oh my God.
The medal.
Jesus.
And didn't he reunite some family in the audience?
Well, he always does that. That the whole thing was like watching him host The Apprentice. I don't know. Is that
It's a reality show.
I don't know if that's
Yeah.
is that unprecedented? I mean, it was again. If you didn't think about this, what a great moment that was.
The Apprentice?
No, the reuniting the soldier with
right,
his
yeah,
family.
yeah, that's yeah.
Amazing. But I just didn't think they did that during the State of the Union. That's what you do when you're hosting, like, you're filling in for Alex Trebek or some crap. You know? You okay there, bud? I don't want any accidents. All right. Well, listen, I gotta relax for a second during the break.
Yeah. Taking a break.
Taking a break.
Okay.
All right, everyone. It's great to have you with us.
Get a masseuse in here.
Yeah. Whether you're watching us on Facebook or you Twitch nerds, it's great to have you along. You can call us if you want. 1-833-437-8465. I keep inviting that Trump supporter from Buffalo who says all the things about us. Or no, Hamilton.
Hamilton.
She wants she won't come on the air. I just want somebody to come on the air and tell me why I'm wrong. Why is Trump great? Because he loves guns and Jesus? That's another thing, you know. You listen to him on Stern from years ago. He's not a religious guy.
Nope.
Ridiculous. Okay, maybe I'm not completely cleansed. Come on back. It's Humble and Fred Radio.
When you only got 100 years to live, half time goes by. Suddenly you're wise, another blink of an eye. 67 is gone, the sun is getting high. We're moving on.
Okay, I'm just trying to calm things down here. Okay, a lot of people getting very excited. a lot of tempers. Let's all just chill out. Remember, we're just here on this planet for a short time. Dan Duran's here. He's got even less time than I do.
Yeah, right. Thank you for that.
Oh, here
I'll light an incense candle. Then.
Oh, exactly. Let's see. Okay.
Got the
Now,
salt rock lit up.
I got a. Hey, have a look, man.
What?
I got it. Here.
Okay.
We got a phone call. Now let's all just be in our best behavior.
All right.
We're not here to attack anybody. We're just here to try and have a conversation. The Retirement Sherpa in about 10 minutes' time. Plus, we have a visitor today, the guy I met at the moving picture show, Ray, who started the whole Dan Duran legend thing.
I like Ray a lot.
Of course you do. Literally, no one, honestly, in 7 days, was it 7 days? Ray has impacted the show because now legend's being thrown around. He just told me, he said, I'm not there yet, though. It's fine. Listen, man, I'll get there someday. Is this Sean or Lorena? Hi, who's on the phone? Oh, yeah, I think I do. Well, whoever that was.
I guess they called in and then chose not to.
They didn't like that whole thing there. All right, we're going to get to Richard Surrett, who is a conspiracy show host. He hosts something on Zoomer Radio on Sunday nights. Very interesting character. Also hosts Coast to Coast AM across America. Heard on a lot of the same radio stations that run Rush Limbaugh. And again, as I said, forget what you think about Rush Limbaugh as a right-wing conservative talk show host. Here's a weird thought that I had, and again, I'm going to argue against myself. When I listen, I just thought the spectacle of awarding the Medal of Freedom, the highest honor you can give to a civilian in America, I just thought it was a weird move to give it to him during the State of the Union. But taking that off the table for a second, I was also, in a way, I was going to say proud, but I found it interesting because I've been listening to Rush Limbaugh a long, long time. In 91, when I went from CFNY to the CKFM, I went through this period where every day at noon I would listen to this guy on WBEN in Buffalo. Early on, I thought, this guy's brilliant. I wasn't so much into the politics, but I could tell it was the first time I'd ever heard a talk show host do a program like it was a morning show. Funny bits,
produced, and all
regular
that,
characters, and I was fascinated by it. And I thought then, and I tell you, I think now, one of the best broadcasters of our generation. Like, you cannot like Rush Limbaugh and think he's a bad guy and a nut job, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
But as a broadcast mechanic, like looking at his game, top notch.
I agree with you. And I remember when you first discovered him, you told me about him, and I listened to him, and I totally agree with everything you're saying back then. I didn't like him that much, though. I mean, just what he was saying was outlandish. But you're right, as a professional in this business.
But I had never heard. I was kind of just getting into talk radio, but I'd never heard anybody do it in a way that reminded me of the early days of morning radio. And Rush was a radio fan. Rush was had worked for. I think he'd worked for Kansas City in the football operations. He was a marketing guy, but a big radio fan his whole life. And he really began a whole style of radio. It devolved into some other stuff later, but just as a guy. And I thought when he got that award last night, again, forget the fact that I thought it was weird, that it was happening during that State of the Union, etc. I thought, what an honor for a radio broadcaster. And as a guy in radio, I thought, wow, that's pretty amazing.
So maybe not the right award, but
recognition
for a radio
guy.
Like,
for instance, it's like you got Legendary from Ray. Like, that's quite an honor for a radio.
Right, but that was in a theater. That wasn't in the State of the Union.
It wasn't in the Senate.
It was the right setting for it.
In the lobby.
Ray was appropriate. Ray didn't walk up in the middle of your kid's baptism and go, Dad,
Let's make
Ray. Could you just pause for a second, sir? I just want to tell you you're legendary. Anyway, Sean McKenna, who's one of the guys on Facebook who wants to explain to us, Sean, I apologize. Please call back. I don't know what happened. Everything should be where it is. Sean, give us a call, 1-833-437-8465. And, of course, the other person who is a big fan of ours on Facebook, she just keeps calling us pussies and stuff, which is fine. But she won't call in. And, again, I don't want to argue with her. I just want to hear her thoughts. I'm honestly curious. Again, it's like the Habs and the Leafs, you know. It's always good to hear somebody else's ideas on it, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like here in this country, Dan and I talked about this last night at dinner too, you know, or was it the night before, but you cannot like Andrew Scheer and think Peter McKay's a bad guy. All you want, that's fine. Mm-hmm. Well, here we go. Let me see. I think it's that side, isn't it? Sean, are you there? What am I doing wrong, Phil?
No, nothing.
Sean?
Nothing. What's going on?
I don't know.
I'm here.
There we
There you
go.
go. Sean, I'm sorry. You know, usually the phone is near Fred, and usually he adds the callers on.
This is a broadcast phone. I've always been confused.
You're shorthanded today.
No,
I understand.
and with we're not 100% sure how it works.
Yeah.
That's really the bottom line.
I didn't get trained up on it, and I'm sitting in Fred's
It's not
chair
Dan's fault.
today, so.
Yeah, but Sean, thanks for calling in. What I was just saying about the Habs. You know, just let me finish this point, Sean. You know, in Canada, if you're a liberal, you just think everybody, Stephen Harper and Peter McKay and all these guys are terrible. And as I said to Dan,
I know.
and I said, here's the thing: I would have loved Andrew Scheer to show up in blackface 3 times in his life, because then the Liberal Party would just lose their
get
minds. And then get reelected.
Exactly.
Sean, you see, I think you can hear. I'm not that I'm not on your side, but I see that there's merit on both sides.
Right.
But last night I listened to 45 minutes of that, and I was just perplexed by it. What were your thoughts?
What did you find so perplexing?
Can we just pause for a second and remember it's Donald Trump, for God's sake?
What is okay? So maybe you can help me understand the disdain for him, because up until he became a Republican, everybody loved him.
No, they didn't. I thought he was an idiot.
Hip hop. Okay, most people in Hollywood were not running for cover like they do now. Why
you're
is
right.
that?
Well,
it's because he crossed the line and became a Republican. That's it.
He became a Republican. He embraced Jesus. You know, here's a guy that's being sued by a porn star talking about God bless the greatest country under
let's
heaven.
Focus on the facts. Here's the thing. You asked me why people like me think the way we do.
Yeah.
Is that every time we get engaged in a conversation like this, it starts with feelings and emotion, and there's no fact and evidence. And once you start to boil it down to the reality of what the alternatives were, what he's done, and where he's going, I don't see how he doesn't get reelected.
Well, I totally agree. Would you not hear me say that? I've been saying it. I said it in 2015. He would get elected, and I've been saying it for 6 months that there's no way he doesn't get reelected. And I also said, Sean, I said if you took him out of the equation, there's no way you can argue that he hasn't. That the president, whoever this guy was, has done. There's no way to argue that his record is amazing. But Donald Trump but Donald Trump does stir up a lot of emotions and feelings because I showed Dana he's tweeted 43,000 times.
Perfect. Why do you think he does that? Why do you think he circumvents the media and goes directly to the people using Twitter?
Because he can control the message.
Right.
And so he's not fact checked on Twitter. He can say whatever the heck he wants to.
Well, they can fact check him at any time anyways. That doesn't change. The reality is if he lets the media present his perspective, it ends up being what the media wants you to think.
And I agree with you.
Of Trump because of the media.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a bunch of evidence in front of me. We could both sit down. Let me finish. We could both sit down, Sean. We could both sit down at computers, and I can show you 25 things right now that he said that were absolute lies. And but he's it's what it. You know what it is? He's just as an unsettling force in the world, I think.
Okay, so I get your perspective, and I get why people don't like him. I get that. He wasn't elected Boy Scout. He wasn't elected priest or altar boy. He was elected as the alternative to Hillary Clinton coming into 8 years of Obama.
Yeah, I agree.
So every time you have an election of any sort, it's an economics it's the economic choice of your vote. Do you go this way or that way?
Yeah.
And in the case of Trump, and especially in the binary option in the States, it is a binary option. If not Trump, who? What was the alternative 4 years ago?
And I agree with you.
Do you think Clinton could have done half?
Absolutely not. You know, and it's funny. I said to Dan sometime in the last couple of days, because Dan's been staying here to guest Fred, and I said, I get why he was elected, because, and I said this last night, the Clintons, they're bad people. They were bad people, and as time goes on, we're going to find out. I totally agree that he got elected, not by default, because there was no alternative. And I'll tell you why, that he's going to get reelected, because there still isn't anybody the Democrats can put up that will be able to beat him.
Oh, it's even worse now, because the options are, honestly, in my opinion, they're worse than Clinton, because that party has been hijacked by the alt-left. I don't know how they come back from this.
Yeah,
especially after Pelosi ripped up that speech last night.
Which was, by the way, so what? If considering some of the things he's done in poor taste, if you want to call it that.
Whoa. So there's more to it than just a speech. That is an actual process, an annual process that's been going on for decades.
Yeah, I know.
Where the executive branch of government reports to Congress in writing. So she destroyed federal documents.
No, okay. We should impeach her. Yeah. But you can see. Listen, I'm with you. There's the reason he got elected, because the alternative was weak, and the reason he's going to get reelected is the same reason. But Sean, I got the retirement Sherpa here coming up, and I promise you, I love hearing your opinion. As I said, did you understand when I said people who don't like the Habs can't understand how you could like something, and I as I said with
again. That's a perfect example of a home team tribalism mentality.
Right. And that's why I brought up Andrew Scheer in blackface, because that would have basically, the Liberals would have voted to end the Conservative Party.
Well, I think one of the things that whenever you're talking about this kind of thing, Andrew Scheer compared to Trudeau or in the States, if your opposing opinion, if you can flip and say, in the same circumstance, if it was my party in this situation as opposed to them, would I have the same opinion about this process? Then you check your hypocrisy is basically what I'm saying.
Well, Sean, if the Speaker of the House had been conservative and ripped up Obama's...
Oh, exactly. Imagine Paul Ryan Obama and did the same thing. Oh my gosh!
I get it, dude.
Black man saying to Obama, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah, exactly. And I get why it's going to be nothing. Like the Fox News were already going crazy last night.
It wasn't just Fox News. I was on I was on Occupy Democrats.
Oh yeah, I know that site.
There were Democrats appalled at what Nancy Pelosi did. They were watching PBS. Democrat after Democrat called in and said, based on the way that the Democrats acted through impeachment, acted during the speech, and then Pelosi ripping up the speech, they will never vote Democrat again.
Yeah, well, I'm going to have to let you go, but I'll just say this, considering there were very, very many Republican senators who were, sort of quoted as saying, I think he's guilty, but I can't vote for impeachment because I think it's disruptive for the country. So let's not forget that, there are some facts around him and things that he's done that were unbecoming and illegal, but let's just leave it.
Not impeachable.
Well, whatever. Hey, listen,
man. I don't think they said they were illegal. They said they didn't like what he did and how he did it, but it didn't reach the level of an impeachable offense. I think those are more the words of what they said.
Well, listen, man, I appreciate you having, the patience for me.
You guys are great. I've been listening since '89.
Well, you know what you are? I have a new category.
High P.
Sean, not only are you a Hyundai P, but you're now a new category, H&F Lifer.
There you go.
Okay. Sean McKenna, everybody.
All right, thanks, Sean.
Let's just acknowledge that Sean's a nice guy, Dan.
I do acknowledge that.
All right, then.
See, we had an actual nice conversation there. And that's what it should be happening. There shouldn't be this partisan kind of way that... Because I don't hate
that liberals have. Yeah. Yes, that partisan liberal thing.
It's all the liberals that are
that site he's talking about, Occupy Democrats, is a interesting website. I've gone to that a couple times. Anyway,
is it a pure site?
I don't know anymore. Oh. What does that mean?
I don't know. Is it like purely democratic in its ways? Was it a slant of some sort?
Yeah, it's Democrat.
Yeah. Okay.
It's about Democrats. That's why it's called Occupy Democrats. I thought that was self-explanatory.
But
Legend,
are they
eh,
good
Ray?
Democrats?
Legend.
Are they good Democrats?
What's that? I'm an icon. Thank you, Ray. I've just been given icon status. Thank you. So how does it work?
Oh, you want to grade it?
No, I just want to know if there's a legend and an icon out for dinner, who pays? Does the legend pay? Do you want to talk about legends? Please welcome to our program this angel from Burlington. He is a portfolio manager. Raymond James, a member of the Canadian Investors Protection Fund. I say hello to you, sir. The retirement Sherpa, Tim Niblett.
Hey!
Good morning, all. And as I woke up at 5 this morning with the brain rushing, I might be petering out like you later on this morning here.
You woke up with a what?
5 o'clock. That's very early for
No, I
Sherpa
know.
time.
I had a mile. Did you get into a street fight?
Oh, I think I just got, you know what? That's my blueberry smoothie I had this morning, I think.
Should clean up a
You
little.
can't see that on camera, but Tim, it looked like he'd been hit.
Well, Sean kind of cracked me when I came
Sean,
in the
don't-
door. Yeah.
Sean,
He
I've
thought
asked
he's
you.
playing lacrosse again for a
Yeah,
second.
Shawnee, I've asked you not to strike our guests.
I'm intimidated by the big guys.
Yeah, no kidding. He's a lovely man. Let's say hi. Thank you for coming in. I know you're going back to the U.S. office in a couple of days.
Tomorrow
and,
morning,
nice.
hopefully the weather forecast will be a little off for the drive there, but, you guys just got me back into the whole maelstrom of, however that word goes, of Trumpitis. So
You're going to be
I
driving
thought I
right
was going
down.
to be able to ignore it for another day.
Were you going to Florida?
Florida, yeah.
Yeah.
Are you driving?
No, fly.
Oh, you fly. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Well, there's going to be some weather tomorrow, according to Dan Duran.
Yeah.
Yes.
You fly in the morning?
I am, yeah.
Yeah.
9:50 flight, so I'll just get going early and be fine.
Be de-icing and be patient and take a look.
That's right. Whatever happens.
It's actually in those kind of weather events, taking off isn't as I don't want to say use the word tenuous. Taking off is easy through weather, easier. It's the landing through weather, because you think about it, when you take off, the reason they de-ice you is only for the first 12,000 to 15,000 feet, because that's where all the weather is.
Right.
After that, you punch through and you're fine. But they're literally de-icing those wings for the 5 minutes that they're going to be in ice. So once you punch through it, you're fine. And that's why taking off isn't that big a deal. Landing through it, you think about it, you're taking a lot more time to get through that layer. Did I lose you guys?
No, it's going to be building up on the wings
It
as you come
builds
through
up.
that 12,000 feet
Yeah,
below.
so that's why landing in those kind of conditions is more tenuous. So you're going to be fine.
Well, that is great. Thank you. I had my record last year. I think it was about a 5-hour delay at the airport, so thank heavens for Bose noise-canceling headphones, I'll tell you that.
And I love when people are on planes like, oh, guys, this is taking so long. Oh, now we're going to de-ice. Yeah, we're going to de-ice so you don't die.
I'm so pissed off.
Yeah, I'm so mad. I can't believe it's taking an extra 2 hours. And I'm going to, so you don't die, Mildred. It's a guy named Mildred, by the way. I like to, let's get to it. When I've been giving second opinions, Tim says, there are 3 main areas of improvement. And we've sent many people to you just to have a look-see, right?
Absolutely.
Like
Just
a
in
financial
your,
mechanic.
medical practice,
Exactly.
same thing, second opinions.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's just amazing, right? I mean, I know we all do this in different areas of life, some more than others or whatever, but one thing I really see a lot at this time of year is, RSP time, last minute thing. Far too many people put things into GICs for safety, allegedly. Well, you got short-term reality safety, but you don't have long-term growth safety and income safety and resource safety, right? So a lot of people should be checking to see if they got anything maturing late February, early March from years past, and consider getting it working harder for them.
You've talked about GICs and more conservative investments that people will do. They'll, bank things and so forth, but it's almost like you're betting against yourself. Because if you're only getting a 2.3% growth versus the 5 or 6%, and I think the last couple of weeks, one of those times you pointed out just a degree, a percentage difference 1.5 points difference over time, and how much more you can get. So in a way, by going to the safe products, you're not protecting yourself in the way you think you are.
Right. It's making things riskier, really, because you have less of a future resource, right? And just think of it logically. If the bank's paying us X% for something, odds are pretty good they're planning on making more on it, right? So why not buy bank stocks instead?
That's right. Wait a minute.
Mine just exploded there.
Well, I've been at this for a quarter century, Howard. I mean, come on.
Right, are you trying to say?
Mark it up.
Are you saying that? What I think you're saying is the banks, they are trying to make money too. Those sons of bitches. So GICs, you don't recommend those. When you look at somebody's portfolio, what else do you see? Things like balance funds and cash.
Sure. So rare is a case GICs are really of value. Sometimes they might be. They do exist for a reason. But sure, recently I was with a great guy, a listener, becoming a client, Hundy P, awesome person, and got a great pension, and then got some super conservative balance funds in the RSP. Well, you've already got all the certainty in your pension, and whether you do have one or not, again, long-term vehicle balance funds probably aren't going to cut it for you. They're just going to make 3, 4, 5, maybe 6% a year, which is okay, but not as good as getting that couple extra percent more. It's, as I talked before, when we play defense, we score goals with what we invest in for the clients, but a classic bond holding, which is in a balanced fund, is going to play defense but not score a lot of goals.
And I guess part of the nuance of your job is to help us or help convince somebody that a few percentage extra of being a bit more aggressive can really pay off over time. And that, as you say, if you're always on defense, then that's what you're going to get. You're going to have a low scoring game. I'm sorry, I got my metaphors mixed up, but I kind of got lost in there somewhere. I wasn't sure.
I think it made sense, though.
Did it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I'll have to go back and listen.
Absolutely. I mentioned the book Atomic Habits a couple of weeks ago. Still plowing through that on an irregular basis, but they talk about the power of just making 1% changes, right, in life, whether it's weight, whether it's working out, whether it's drinking, whatever it is. It's hard to make a 40% change stick.
Yeah.
But if you do it 1% at a time, lifestyle-wise, it's a lot more likely to happen. Well, investment-wise too, right? It doesn't mean you're all of a sudden going to make crazy changes or huge changes, but if you can just get a little more growth, be a little more tax effective, be a little more disciplined in your savings, makes a huge difference.
And go ahead, Dan.
Well, I've got 2 questions, but after we're done this,
we got to go to our break here.
Oh, okay.
And we got Richard Surrett coming up at 8. But I'll tell you what, when we come back, Dan Duran's going to ask Tim Niblett 2 questions. We'll get those answers, and then we'll send Tim on his way. Tim.Niblett at raymondjames.ca. The Retirement Sherpa, always a pleasure having you in our studio. And, of course, we look forward to seeing you in person,
a few weeks from now when you're back from holidays.
Exactly.
Yes.
It's Humble and Fred Radio. We'll take a break. Richard Surrett, Freddie's coming up. The picture will be released.
Oh, the picture.
The picture. Awesome. Ray, you want to see the picture before everybody else? Yeah, you do. It's like that guy last night. We're in the stairway of this bar. Show me the picture. Let me see it. It's Humble and Fred Radio. We'll be right back.
And you may find yourself behind the wheel of a large automobile. And you may find yourself in a beautiful house with a beautiful wife. And you may ask yourself, well, how did I get here?
Yeah, it's Humble and Fred Radio. Dan Duran's here. Before we release the retirement Sherpa, Tim's going to hang around for a couple more minutes. Phil, let's talk, if we can, about CDN Technologies. Our good friend Barb Paluskowicz was in yesterday.
Absolutely. You know, Tim provides peace of mind for his clients, and Barb is also a great person when it comes to IT security and IT services. If you're a business or if you're just a human being and you need help when it comes to protecting your computer, ensuring that, you know, important information is not leaked, you have to check out Barb Paluskowicz and CDN Technologies, cdntechnologies.com. Learn about how to avoid being the victim of a devastating ransomware attack, bank fraud, negative PR, or data breach. Now remember, free antivirus programs won't do this for you. You actually need to hire someone to help you. So check it out, CDN Technologies, 905-542-9759. She also has a podcast called No Tech Talk, KNOW.
All right, thank you. I was just laughing because I saw a note. I'll get to turnkey later. I saw a note that Tim sent thanking Phil for his stream of consciousness. that sums it up.
Full apologies.
Because I had
yesterday. I was like, "What the heck is he talking about?"
I know. You know what? When I saw your note, Timmy, I was going to go and get his read, or we call them live read. I was going to get Phil's live read to play it because it was just like, what? Anyway, what was your question for? We're going to get to Richard Surratt. He's standing by. What is your question?
Two questions. One, my son is 17 years old. He's just he got his first job this past year, and he's been learning about things in the world and going to be off, and I imagine with part-time jobs and stuff. But it has occurred to me that if I had started saving when I was 17, and just a little tiny bit, that would be massive in my retirement. I would probably, be happy.
Well, you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be here guest fretting for chicken thighs. That's what we
so
paid
what
him.
Should I tell him?
He should get into the habit of saving, which is great, right?
How much?
Enjoy some. It's almost just the habit that matters, right? Certainly if you can get 20 or 30% going at this age, because he's got a lot of free stuff probably, that's a good thing. RSPs for a young person aren't worth it because they're not making enough money to make the deduction worth it for what they pay later. TFSA's age of majority, get one going for them. I'm just doing that for, actually 3 months from now when a client's kid turns 19. And that's amazing. Tax-free, right? For decades of tax-free growth, that would be just unbelievable.
Were you asking Tim how much to put in for a savings? Think about the wonder that is compound interest. If you put $30 a month away, 15, 20 something over the course of a lifetime from 17 to whenever he's going to retire, it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Kind of a function of what his reality is, right? Like how much money has he got coming in? How much does he need to go out for stuff? And as much as possible is really the best answer.
Right.
But the habits, like anything, what matters.
Okay, I'll tell him that. The other question is, isn't the stocks for Tesla going nuts right now?
I believe so. I don't follow close enough, but yeah, I heard somebody talking about that lately.
Like it's so fast that it's stay away. Kind of like it's going to crash or something because it's.
So is this a question for Colton or is this a Dan Duran question?
He does a really good job of statements as questions. But
I was like, Dan Duran's like, I'm thinking of investing some of the chicken thighs that I was given to guest Fred
into Tesla.
Thank you very much, Tim. We've got Richard Surratt and all
My
safe
pleasure.
travels.
Great to see you guys.
Yeah.
So great seeing you, and thanks for your help with everything, including client acquisition.
Yes.
All right, Tim Niblett, everybody.
All right.
Tim Niblett. He is Tim Niblett. You're not, and that's fine. Please welcome to our program. He's the host of The Conspiracy Show. Occasionally will be heard on Coast to Coast AM across like 600 radio stations in America. And not only a very, very bright guy, but he's a conservative and a very, he's got his opinions. He's like a Hab fan. You got to listen to him. Richard Surratt, people.
Hey, Richard.
Good morning. Great
to
be back to the Algonquin Roundtable.
Exactly. I'm Dorothy Parker. Listen,
and I'm Tallulah Bankhead.
It's so easy for people who feel one way. The old thing about confirmation bias. It's easy to not see that the other side has an argument, but I use the Leafs and the Habs. You know, if you're a Hab fan, you can't stand the Leafs and vice versa. So as a conservative, you know, you're constantly being put upon to defend yourself in a way that people on the other side don't feel they have to. Do you know what I mean?
That's so true. Yes, it is. It's fascinating when you're in a room with people, let's say, left of center, and they'll talk to you if they don't know your political stripe. They'll just assume that you're one of them.
Yeah.
You know, I took my son to a physiotherapy appointment yesterday, and they had CNN on. And in the waiting room,
two questions.
and of course they were talking about impeachment and the State of the Union speech. And the guy next to me just starts shaking his head and sort of nodding knowingly at me. Hey, that Trump, what a clown. And, you know, I didn't want to make a scene, but it was like, no, actually, I think he may go down as one of the greatest presidents in history. But that just is an indicator of how people assume that, you know, you're like-minded, that everyone is a member of the progressive left.
Well, and again, back to this, the idea that everyone is looking for confirmation of their own biases, and yet, you know, the left would have us, you know, we that are sort of more liberal leaning, and I would, you know, like Fred describes himself as a Canadian conservative, and I describe myself as conservative when it comes to money. You know, that old fiscal conservative, and liberal when it comes to human beings. But I'm a bit more centrist. And what I see from being more in the middle is that I get to see how the left reacts to the right, and also the other way, how the right dismisses the left and you know, the derisive nature of the debate. But one of the reasons I wanted to have you explain yourself to people is that there's things to be learned from listening.
All right.
Well,
no, that's true. That's true.
So that guy you met at the party.
We tend to talk past each other.
Right.
It's not a conversation. It's just everyone is spouting, you know, the talking points, and nobody. You're right. Nobody is listening, and I don't know how we get back to that. We're going to need. We're probably going to have to get past the next 5 years, because Trump will be president for another 5.
Absolutely.
And then I'm going to make a prediction here in the program. Look for Florida Governor Rick DeSantis with Nikki Haley as his running mate. They'll be in for another 8 years. So it might take another 16 or 20 years. You and I might be dead by then, but by then people start to get on again, hopefully.
Well, you know, I agree with you. I don't think there's any way Trump's not going to be president. And as infuriating as you can, if you don't like Trump, I'm not a big fan. I thought the thing last night was like, you know, it was a weird bunch of weird moments. Pelosi was weird. The handshake was weird. The Rush Limbaugh thing was weird. The presentation of the medal, all that. But as I said at the very top of the show, if you didn't know it was Donald Trump and you just looked at this man's record, or the record of this administration,
so far.
It's one more year. Whatever it was, you know, if you said the president has a 50% approval rating in year 3 and 95% of his party, you'd go, well, that's a pretty successful presidency. And I know left people don't want to hear it, but it's true.
And the other thing is, that speech could easily have been made by Barack Obama or Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
If you look at the policies, if you strip away the rhetoric and what some people might perceive as the mean-spirited tweets, which, you know, are designed to bait the media, and like salivating dogs, they fall for it every single time, which allows them to control the news cycle. They just, you know, they can't help themselves. It's actually quite funny. But if you strip away that and you look at the policies, I mean, you consider yourself a centrist. Many of Trump's policies are right down the middle. You know, if John F. Kennedy were alive today, he would probably, in some areas, be further right than Trump.
Yeah. Well, and again, people's perspectives. You know, Dan and I were talking last night over chicken thighs, which is, by the way, what we're paying Dan to fill in. We had fresh chicken thighs on Monday, but last night we gave him leftover chicken thighs as payment.
Yeah. And it was good.
And one of the things I said is, and you've sort of hit on it, we're all at the mercy of the trick of time. We forget what that Bill Clinton and the Clintons were bad people. We just seem to think that because they're not conservative, they must be good. John F. Kennedy, another bad dude in a lot of ways. But because he was iconic and assassinated, we forget. The old idea about forgetting history.
Right. I mean, Jack was one of the notorious swordsmen of his day. He would walk into a gathering, and the first thing he would ask the assembled is, where are the ladies at?
Where are my ladies?
That's it.
Let's take some time now away from politics. One of the things that Richard does so well, better than most, is disseminate pretty interesting information. I'm a big fan of conspiracies, as you all know, and one of the things being somewhat friendly with Richard is every so often, I haven't done it for a while, but I just call him out of the blue and go, 9/11? Are you kidding me? And then he quietly talks me down, and then I let him go back to his life.
So are you going to ask what conspiracy theories are trending right now?
Well, there could be. We could start with that. Are there any conspiracy theories trending? And then Richard has some stuff about Kobe and the coronavirus. So let's start with anything you want, my friend.
Well, I wouldn't mind starting with Kobe because, you mentioned Kobe and the coronavirus, and those are the two big ones right now. The interesting thing about Kobe, and again, I monitor, I analyze conspiracy theories. I'm not, per se, a conspiracy theorist, so let's just get that out of the way. There are some interesting things happening with Kobe, though. When he died, January 26th, someone grabbed a screenshot of the Wikipedia entry for his death, and it said he was assassinated, which was kind of interesting. But people should note that, a lot of people have access to Wikipedia. It's kind of an open-sourced online encyclopedia where many people can go in and edit and change things around. So I wouldn't give that too much credence. But it was kind of something that a lot of people latched onto. Wikipedia said he was assassinated, and then they took it down and changed it. And then there's this Dr. Umar Johnson. He's a school psychologist in Pennsylvania, and describes himself as the Prince of Pan-Africanism. So he's an African American, a black nationalist, if you will, and he posted this insane 6-minute rant on YouTube alleging that white supremacists had murdered Kobe Bryant, and he said the helicopter was sabotaged, and then somehow this white supremacist plot had been organized by the Illuminati. It gets pretty convoluted, and he claims that the motive for this was twofold. One, that LeBron James had overtaken Kobe in points.
Yeah, because the Illuminati hates stats.
Yes, they do.
If we know nothing about the Illuminati, we know they hate stats. So his theory was that the Illuminati, because he'd passed LeBron, please continue.
And then somehow that got conflated with this whole idea that Kobe had filed a trademark lawsuit against some pharmaceutical company because they had this diet pill that they named Black Mamba Hyper Rush. And Black Mamba, of course, that was Kobe's famous nickname. And so because he had filed this lawsuit against Big Pharma for, impinging on his name, they took him down. The only problem was that Kobe had filed that lawsuit about 5 years ago, and it wasn't really trending in his favor. Now, here's where it gets really interesting for me, where I don't know how to describe my feelings about this, but let's just say it makes me go, and it has to do with predictive programming. So Comedy Central had this cartoon. It was a short-lived run. It was a kind of a cheaply produced cartoon called Chamberlain Heights.
Okay.
And it was either 2016 or 2017, this cartoon, they had an episode, and it was titled End of Days, and it depicts Kobe Bryant dying in a helicopter crash.
Come on.
And so if you can see it online, and they show, and Comedy Central has since pulled the episode, but in the episode, you see Kobe trying to crawl out of his downed, burning helicopter, and this character, Jamal, he says, I'll help pull you out if you give me your championship rings or something like that. And so this is an example of what I mentioned called predictive programming. And this is the theory that, the government or the Illuminati or higher ups, they use fictional movies, sometimes they use books as some kind of a mass mind control tool. They want to make us plebes, us useless eaters, sort of more accepting of planned events. So I'll give you an example.
Well, just pause for a second because, first of all, I can tell you on behalf of the audience, that is just so fascinating that you can make those connections. And the second thing, when you said that cartoon, if you go back, I'm not really a big Simpsons fan, but Simpsons apparently have, they predicted the rise of Trump.
That's right.
Trump's a president in some Simpsons episodes from years ago.
Yes.
So more predictive programming.
Yeah, there's a list online where the Simpsons, 18 predictions that came true. And you're right, the Trump presidency, 9/11. I mean, there's a list as long as my leg. Well, I have very short legs, maybe. I'm sort of cut off at the knees. But an incredible list of examples of 9/11 program or predictive programming, from rap albums showing the Twin Towers in flames. There was a spin-off series from the X-Files called The Lone Gunman, in an episode depicting a plane flying into the World Trade Center tower. There was also this rumor. Do you remember Jackie Chan, the action hero?
Yeah, of course.
And it was said that he was shooting a movie called Nosebleed on the day of 9/11 or the day before. In the movie, it involves a terrorist plot to fly a plane into either the Statue of Liberty or the World Trade Center, depending on who you talk to. And the rumor was that Chan was supposed to have been shooting in the morning of the attacks, which would have put him on the roof when the planes hit. Now, that part turned out not to be true. He was working on a different movie, but the movie Nosebleed, actually, it did deal with that theme, planes flying into, again, either the Statue of Liberty or the World Trade Center towers. Now, I got it.
Okay, so you were kind of going down a road there. The comic book predicted the Kobe crash, and then you were going to go on to something else.
I was just kind of giving some examples of predictive programming, right, and the idea that
so rather than give more examples, what the point being that the government has this, or whoever, the Illuminati, the shadow people, they produce these things so that when the events actually happen, that it's already in our psyche somehow.
Right. We're being psychologically conditioned. And there may be some societal, change, some monumental change. I don't know. Let's say they want to implant, biochips in everybody so they can track us.
I'm good with that, by the way. Just so you know. I'm good with, by the way, Rich, you don't know this about me, but two things you should know. If they want to plant biochips in me, go ahead. Secondly, if the aliens come, I'm running toward the light, just so you know. I will run over you, Richard, to get to the mothership. In our we've got 5 minutes left. I want to get your thoughts. Conspiracy Show runs on Zoomer Radio. Give me the times every Sunday at
11 p.m. to 1 a.m.
It is must listening for people like myself that love this kind of discussion. It's something aside from the regular media. Richard does it better than anybody. You can also catch him on Coast to Coast AM. Go to Richard Surratt's site. Follow him on Twitter as I do, and a different perspective and a smart, sensitive perspective. Richard, tell us.
So if you're a budding conspiracy theorist, it's a great place to start.
You know what it is, Dan? It's a meetup. That's what I do. I meet up with Richard. So what about the coronavirus?
Well, a lot of the conspiracy theories are spreading probably faster than the virus itself. One of the interesting ones was this idea that the virus was stolen from a Canadian lab in Winnipeg.
Right.
Winnipeg. And it's called the National Microbiology Lab. It's what they call a level 4. There's only a handful in North America where they handle, deadly viruses. So the idea was that a couple of Chinese spies supposedly broke in, stole the coronavirus, took it back to Wuhan, where they put it in their virology lab, and they weaponized it. Well, that was sort of conflating a couple of stories. It turns out, not to be true. The mounted police were investigating some Chinese nationals and students who worked for them who were working at that lab. But it had nothing to do with the coronavirus. They had their security clearances revoked after the investigation. It's not clear why, but then that story, and again, coronavirus was not involved in that investigation. Then that story got sort of mixed up with something else. But anyway, it's not true. Apparently, we're told anyway that Chinese nationals did not steal the coronavirus from a Winnipeg lab. The other story was that somehow there was some genetic manufacturing of this virus involving HIV. Again, weaponizing it, and that was reported on a website called BioRxiv, which is where they sort of scientists will pre-publish before it gets peer-reviewed. In other words, this article by some scientists from New Delhi in India, they had seen some uncanny resemblances or similarities between HIV and coronavirus. But again, that report was not vetted. It was not peer-reviewed, and it was quickly withdrawn and recanted. So those are two of the interesting theories floating out there. But it's important to note, less than 700 people have died, all but one in mainland China. 60,000 people a year die from influenza in the United States on average every year.
Richard, I said that a couple weeks ago. I said, it was 60,000 in the States, 3,500 in Canada die every year from just regular flu. And my joke was, more people are going to die. Here's how more people are going to die from this virus. Because a bunch of people are still making coronavirus and Lyme jokes. Those people will be killed. There will be more than 800 of those finally slapped. But enough with the jokes. Because the funny thing is when you hear people do the coronavirus and Lyme, you just thought of that, did you? Very good. You're very funny. Richard Surrett, our time is over. I apologize. We had to cut it short. We had Dan Duran doing some financial stuff.
Well, you should be sorry.
I am sorry. You know what? I'm totally. I'm Moose Jaw. I'm from Moose Jaw. We're sorry. We're just
always sorry.
Always sorry. Richard Surrett, thank you for your time today.
Strangeplanet.ca, that's the website. I'm doing Coast to Coast Saturday, February the 8th.
I'll tell you, if you've never heard him do it, it's something else. It's a great show. You do a great job. You're a nice person, and I appreciate your time this morning.
Howard, Fred, God bless you.
Well, Fred's not here.
No, it's Dan.
But it's Dan.
Dan, my apologies. Dan
doesn't
Duran.
matter. Dan Duran's a legend. Bless you, Dan Duran. Thanks, Richard.
Okay.
All right, there you go. Speaking of Fred, Fred's coming up, and after I guess I got this picture on I think it was Friday. When did Fred leave?
Yep.
Fred left on Friday. So I've been holding on to this picture since Friday, and we will release it in the next couple of minutes on Facebook. And also, Fred and I, something's come up in the Humble and Fred world, and we're going to address it when we come back. It's Humble and Fred Radio on Funny 820N at humbleandfredradio.com. Welcome back in the sunshine in Toronto today. Hamilton, Southern Ontario. Great to have you along. A very energetic, fun show. We're going to get to Freddie P here in a second, live from Mexico. The Freddie, don't release the picture. Yeah, we're going to have a countdown. Dan Duran is filling in. Dan Duran, for all your Dan Duran needs. The last couple of days, Dan Duran's been doing a great job. And if you've got chicken thighs, this man will. He will.
I work for chicken thighs.
He works for chicken thighs.
In a lovely sauce.
Yeah, Rachel made some nice chicken thighs, and last night there were some leftovers, and Dan had the chicken thighs, and he's happy.
Mm-hmm.
Phil,
yes, hello.
Talk to us.
Absolutely, and we're brought to you by Gig Sky. You know, they've got lots of winter weather, and it's probably on your mind. You want to go south, so check out Gig Sky's new eSIM and plans. Now, if you've got a Google Pixel 4 device, or Pixel 3 or 3A, or even some of the new iPhones out there, you can just simply download the Gig Sky app and then assign some data with you when you travel. I'm going to Cambodia. They have a plan for Cambodia, and South Korea too. They have a plan for Asia that covers South Korea. So check it out. Reasonable data rates, great 4G LTE networks when available. They've got wonderful data for a reasonable price. Don't roam. Don't ding the bank that way. Check out gigsky.com or visit humbleandfredradio.com and click on the Gig Sky banner for a deal.
Nice. Turnkey vacation rentals. The property in La Quinta is available for you. 4-time winner of Travel Weekly's Magellan Award for vacation rental hospitality. More than 1 million guests have stayed in their homes, and now you can too. Great service available 24/7 for all your needs. Promo code OWNER15 will give Humble and Fred listeners a 15% discount on the property, featured through our website, humbleandfredradio.com. Click on the link. Owner15, 15% off in this beautiful property in La Quinta, California. Of course, Humble and Fred Hundy Peas and Lifers will get why I'm playing Love Removal Machine. Part of it is because I couldn't find Snow Removal Machine. But Fredman is here. Hey, Fredman.
Hey, good morning. Do you have snow there?
No.
Oh.
Well, snow's on the ground.
Usually you played Snow Removal Machine when it snows a lot, right?
Right.
No, I know. But
Okay.
I played Love Removal Machine because it's kind of like an homage to your theme, the Freddie P
right.
theme of Snow Removal Machine. Should we have had a meeting? So, Freddie.
Yes.
Freddie. So I looked at my phone. When did you leave? Friday?
Yes.
At some point Friday evening, my phone buzzed. There was a notification, and when I looked at it, I almost I didn't know what to do. I laughed. I started to weep a bit. I just I was like
full range of emotions.
I called friends. I said, I don't know what's going to happen to me right now because I don't know if I'll be the same ever again. And I've been talking about this picture for 3 days, and in about 180 seconds, that's 3 minutes for you people, we're going to release this picture. So just take us through you and the surgical mask on the plane.
Well, as I explained Thursday before I left, Delise had secured some surgical masks from her father and planned on wearing them at the airport, and I mocked her, as you heard. And we got to the airport, and we noticed not a lot of people had masks on, but more than usual, let's say. And then we got on the plane, and it was a packed plane, and somehow I had booked a window seat, but somehow I ended up in the middle 3 seats, you know, that configuration. You know, and it feels a lot more crammed in like that. And then Delise ends up in the middle seat of the middle section. So I think it freaked her out a little bit. So immediately she gets her mask and puts it on, and I start laughing. I said, "Really, you're going to do that?" And she said, "Yeah, I'm going to do this." And she said, "You don't want one?" I said, what the hell? Give me one. So I put it on because it was fun. Like I put it on, right? And then I'm looking at everybody's faces and everything, and they're looking back at you like, more people looked at me like, oh, maybe I should have that, as opposed to without coronavirus, people would go, oh, come on, that's some overkill. But people were actually looking with that look on their face like, oh, should I be doing that? So I felt quite powerful at that point.
Yeah. So you were thinking people were looking at you like, hey, can I bum a mask?
Well, that was it. So again, to me, it was just horsing around. I said, Doll, we got to take a picture. We got to take pictures and send them to all our friends.
Yes.
And of course, you were first on the list, along with my kids. I knew who would get a kick out of it. My buddy Darren. And
well, of course, I corresponded with your kids too. After I was like, I don't think I'm ever going to be the same again. So did you keep it on for the whole flight?
Oh no, Howard. Mine was off before we took off. To be honest.
Okay. And what about Doll?
Because you know what, they're not very comfortable. So you sit there and you go, listen, seriously, like this. I guess if I was in China, I'd put up with the discomfort, but I subscribe to overreaction. No, you know what? Doll kept hers on for a while. It became uncomfortable, but then she took her scarf. She wore a lovely scarf on the plane. You know, that sort of accessory that looks so cool on women? She was wearing one of those and then put it up over her nose for pretty much the whole trip.
Well, good.
I don't know if a scarf filters killer disease. I'm not sure, but that's what she did.
No.
Well, we looked at. I've been talking about your mask. We've examined it. I described it. I want to tell you a quick story. I did a gig last night for a company called Battlefield Equipment Rentals. Great bunch of folk. I was in Guelph at a bar, and just before I went on for my presentation, it was about 8:45. The guy that engaged me, great fan of the show, Gary's his name, and we were talking about the gig and this and that. He goes, oh, before I forget, can you show me the picture? He's like, can I see it? Can I see the Freddie P picture? All right then, Sean, are you ready? Without further ado and delay, go to Humble and Fred Radio on Facebook. Sean, let me know when the picture is there. Go, if you're already on our Facebook page, refresh. You will not be disappointed.
We're just going to do a countdown?
I think that was it.
10,
that was the countdown?
4,
that was the countdown.
12.
5.
Now?
And
it's on. Okay.
Lift off.
Where is it?
Hey, Dan, we don't do countdowns. Okay.
All right. Okay.
Other
stations do that. Okay, got it.
I don't see it yet, Sean. Any second. Anyway, go to our Facebook page.
Servers take a while to sort of disseminate it throughout the planet.
And Fred is he's in Mexico, just south of Playa del Carmen.
And I sit here. It doesn't bother me that you're releasing that photo because, as you know, I don't like my picture taken. I especially don't like it displayed because I feel I'm somewhat ghastly. But that's my problem. I like that picture because half my face is covered.
That's right.
No, I do. I don't mind the picture. It's like, hey, that's not a bad picture of me. Sad, eh? But anyway.
That's right. Well, there's a lot there. It's sad that you think the best picture of you is just your glasses.
Right.
Well, there it is.
Yeah.
So, what Sean, I want you to, so Sean's released the picture of you on the phone, but can you just put that up as a separate post? Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So the picture's there in our feed right now.
Okay.
But I really, it doesn't do it justice because you need to see the full Fred face. Dan, please continue.
Oh, I was going to, Fred, that mask isn't preventing pretty much anything. It's just a mild amount of protection, but you're not really protecting yourself from a virus entering your bloodstream.
Maybe, Dan, what I should do is pass the phone over to Delise because you're preaching to the choir. I did it.
You need
I did it as a bit.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about
she's the buy-in.
Yeah, that wasn't protecting you guys from anything except drywall dust.
You need an N95 rated mask, and they're about $5 a piece if you buy them somewhere in bulk. And you need to, and it's an uncomfortable mask. It's got, it's a little more structured than that, fabric-y thing that you were wearing.
Oh no, I totally get it. And again, I was surprised when I expected more people at the airport to have them on.
Yeah.
But it got, and I was in Air Canada International, so I'm thinking, wow, when you go to Mexico, obviously it's Air Canada International flights or whatever.
Yeah.
In that area, and I thought, boy, I expected more. So I was actually somewhat reassured at that point. But,
you would have had more protection if you had just cut some eye holes into the puke bag and put that on your head.
That's right.
That's what I'm going to do with Rachel on Sunday when we fly to Phoenix. I'm going to go, I forgot my mask.
Yeah. Legend.
But we did. Hey, here, so Delise goes and buys all these Lysol wipes, and just so you know, they allow those through security. before I could sit down, though, all the seats had to be wiped off. The tray table had to be wiped off. It was interesting to watch her. It was like she was doing housework on a plane. Wipe the seats, the backs, the tray tables. In fact, at one point she put down a tray table and said, "Look, they don't even clean these tray tables."
They don't.
And I said, "Right, isn't that disgusting?"
It's terrible, doll.
It's terrible.
But, she's become more germ aware over the years. Dan, what were you going to say?
I was just going to ask you, was there anyone else on the plane wearing masks, or were you the only one?
No, there was a couple of flight attendants as well were wearing them.
Wow.
Did you guys all get together and hang out in the back?
Pardon?
Did you guys get together and hang out in the back?
The mask people?
No. Yeah, no.
Okay.
A couple of the flight attendants did. Which again, you can sort of understand.
Before we continue, and that's so there. The mask picture is it released now as a a full stop picture now? In 2 seconds, okay. So we'll just pause here for a second. Because I know we're going to run out of time, and there's something I really want to get to. So before we do, though, Phyllis, why don't you tell us about who's next? What's up?
The Chambers Plan.
Chamber Plan.
That's
Thank
right.
you.
And part of our great benefits.
Jesus.
Part of our great benefits at the Chambers Plan for small to medium-sized businesses, 1 to 100 employees, involves travel insurance, just in case anything happens on your trip. The Chambers has you covered. The Chambers Plan, I mean. And so the Chambers Plan protects employees with comprehensive group benefits, including health and dental insurance, making it Canada's #1 employee benefits plan for small business. It's simple, stable, smart. Even with me in it going to the dentist, it's stable and it's smart. Check out chamberplan.ca for the best coverage you can get.
And stickeru.com last Thursday, the Boone Man and I were part of the launch of the Sticker Museum and Permanent Sticker Art Exhibition at Sticker U, the store on Queen Street West, 677. But you can order stickers from there anywhere in the world. It really is something to see. This isn't like, something you had when you were a kid. These are, some of them are art. Some of them are bespoke. You tailor-made what your sticker should be. We recommend you go to stickeru.com if you are in the need of stickers for whatever reason and whatever size. Stickeru.com. Go check out the permanent exhibition. It really is fascinating. If you're in town, go check it out on Queen Street West in Toronto. Also fascinating, about a week ago, when did it start? Fred and I were talking one day on the show.
I think it was the week before last.
Okay.
The Edge morning show had been fired at 102.1. And as a lark, we were sitting there and I said, we should apply for that job, which we did.
That's right.
As a bit.
Well, first of all, you wrote a letter, I think it was 2 Thursdays ago. In the morning, we sent them a note as a lark, and it was quite it was pretty funny, we thought, and it was but also semi-serious, and they answered us by 11, like, honestly, they sent us a note back. I remember it was just before 11 p.m. saying, no, we have a plan in place, don't worry.
And basically, thank you for your interest,
right.
But we're going in another direction, all that regular radio crap, and we thought, okay, that's good. They've taken this a little bit serious. So then we wrote a backup letter saying, hey, guys, just so you know, we were kidding. Yeah. It was a bit like they used to do on the radio. It was like for fun. And I didn't hear back, or we didn't hear back from them for a few days after that. So I'm getting the impression that they're thinking, we've been had, or those guys are just jerking around with us. What evil former wacky morning men they are.
And the thing is, the real bit that we wanted to do is if they had even the remotest of interest, we were going to send them our list of demands.
A little lighter.
We were going to say things like, okay, we'll do your silly little morning show, but we're only going to work 4 days a week. We only work 2 hours a day. We take 3 months off, and we start at 7. That's all.
That's all.
Oh, and we're not doing it from your little radio place. We're doing it at Howard's house.
It's not going to be inconvenient for us.
Yeah, it's tight, and sometimes Fred won't even come to that. He'll just do it. So we thought that would be funny.
And sometimes Fred will do it from a trailer.
That's right. So we thought we would like to send them. That would be our funny little follow-up bit. So I don't know how we want to approach this now, but they've now re-engaged with us in the following manner.
Right.
So
go ahead.
You go ahead.
I don't have it in front of me.
Oh.
Then you go ahead.
Sorry.
No, I just don't know if because they reached out to us, and I guess what they're doing is they're getting a bunch of, notable people to savagely, as they say in this email, decline the morning show gig at the Edge. And as though we've been offered it, and we sort of went back and forth with them. They're very nice people, and I thought it was kind of cute that they reached out to us to include in their bit, because now all of a sudden they're doing bits.
Yeah.
So at one point I said, but pretending that you offered us the job, that's not authentic. We could riff on the fact that just like the Radio Hall of Fame, we don't even want the job now. Okay?
Yeah.
Which is true.
There. Right. And it's I'm thinking about it the past couple of days. I think, are we being included or are we being used? Because if they weren't doing this bit, whatever kind of bit it is, would they even have got back to us? So it was like, did we actually? Maybe we stimulated this whole bit line, so to speak.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Fred.
Bit stimulation.
Yeah, bit stimulation.
Humble and Fred, stimulating bits since 1989.
Wear a mask.
So, and you know how we always think about what goes on around a boardroom table. I'm sitting there, I'm thinking. They got that last email from us, and they're thinking, "Oh, those guys, we can't even be bothered with them." And then they're sitting around going, "What should we do going forward?" Then somebody said, "Hey, how about this? Hey, and then we could get the Humble and Fred email, and then we could get them involved, and it'll be great."
That's right. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to pretend we offered the job to a bunch of people. They turn it down, and then we'll get another sister-brother act. Anyway, so for the sake of this bit, we can assure you that we don't want the job. We're too old for the job. Here's the thing. Unless we can do it in the following way. At my house, 4 days a week, for 2 hours, no music, we just rant about nonsense, and occasionally one of us may pass out.
Oh, don't forget about no playing songs and stuff.
Oh, I just said 2 hours, no music.
Oh, right, okay. All right. So
you mean what I just said?
No, before I wasn't listening to you just now.
Howard, that was a good that was a good clip. You could have just sent them right there. I mean, that's the list of demands.
That what? Oh, the list of demands.
I think that's a very good. That's a key part to your.
Well, that's the thing.
Your bit moving forward.
So, what do I send them? The part I just said, or the part of our list of demands prior to you stepping on the bit?
Oh,
yeah.
Well, I send them several things, and I guess they can decide what's ever going to work best for their bit.
Well, let's just
whatever and I don't know what their end game is. Honestly, I'm fascinated by this.
Yeah.
Like what is the bit? So you get a bunch of notable people to, as they put it, savagely reject the morning show. Like, what's the next step? Syndicate? Like, is this an excuse to syndicate the show? Like, have one show on 4 or 5 stations, or I can't figure that end out. Or that's why you feel like you're being a bit used to their end, but who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
We don't want your job. We don't want to come downtown every day. It's that simple. Hey, Sugar Beach, that's pretty attractive, but not what we want.
Well, unless they let me move my house into their office, I don't want to go down there. I don't want to do that. Traffic and crap.
And I don't think, given where they are, they would be in no position to let 2 guys like us talk without playing any music. Do you think they're ready for that? I don't think they're ready for that.
Well, Dan Duran, please make your point.
Well, where they're probably going to go with it is that whoever they end up putting on the air, they'll say, well, nobody else would take the job, so we gave it to this guy.
I know one thing.
Well, how does that make the new person feel? Like, again, I don't know. I really am interested to see where this is going.
Yeah, again, back to the original intent of the bit that they're trying to get us involved in. It's like, okay, we offered the job to all these notable people. They said no, so we hired this schnook. And the guy's like, hey, I'm the guy that got the job that nobody wanted.
I honestly can't believe it's that. And do you get the impression they genuinely offered it to some other people that turned it down? Or
I don't know.
That's a bit.
The
like,
fact...
did they phone George Stroumboulopoulos and say, hey, George, here's the deal. Will you pretend that you don't want the morning show here? Like, I don't get that.
I just want to know, is there any money in this for us anyway? Is there any way of being involved? Does this get us some cash? Chorus
Howard,
money?
Have you seen Chorus stuff?
No.
They can't be throwing money around these days, especially the guys like us.
You know,
not going to happen.
And given our track record of luck, here's what's going to happen. Because we're doing this now, this is going to once again enrage the people at Bell, and they're going to go, why are you doing that? And we're going to go, I don't know, because it seemed like a funny thing to do and intriguing, and it's not like something you would normally hear on the radio.
Right.
And here's what we're doing.
Plus, they approached us in this situation.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like, originally we went after them as a bit, which had to be explained. In this case, they're coming after us. And through this, what are we doing? We're really endorsing our current situation. 2 hours a day, 4 days a week, working out of your place. I mean, that tells you how happy we are with our current situation.
Yeah,
that should thrill the people at Bell.
In fact, let me just say this: as part of our bit for Chorus, we wouldn't work at your stinking morning show unless you guys were bought by Bell, a fine company. How about that? Anyway, we're not doing the show.
Just to establish, thank you very much, Chorus.
Thank you for your offer.
Chorus Ontario or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But no, thank you very much for even thinking about us. You didn't offer us the job, but even if you did, we are not interested.
Humble and Fred say no. We say no to your regular radio job filled with nonsense. We did that. We've done it. Listen, thank you for thinking of us, and good luck to whatever schmo you hire to do your...
Schmo in the morning.
Schmo in the morning. Hey, everybody.
Listen. The heat's on because there's a long list of mistakes there with that show. So, the heat, at some point, the general manager is going to get, like a sports team. Eventually, they're going to have to look at the top and say, hey, how are we making these mistakes time after time after time?
Okay, hang on a second. We got to wrap things up. Our podcast extra will hang around more with Freddie P. Thanks to Tim Niblett. Hey, Ray, thanks for coming in. Richard Surratt, appreciate it. Sean McKenna on Facebook, thanks for your call. Maybe a little bit of Baby Sean Sargent in a second. But first, Phil, say so long. And thanks to Dan Duran, everybody.
Thanks for having me here. It was a lot of fun.
This episode of Humble and Fred Radio is brought to you by FYI Music News, The Retirement Sherpa, Gig Sky, The Chambers Plan, Palma Pasta, CDN Technologies, and our newest sponsor, Sticker You, where you can get your stickers on Queen Street or order anywhere in the world. We broadcast to the planet from the worldwide headquarters of the Humble and Fred Show. More Humble and Fred tomorrow and online at humbleandfredradio.com.
And I'm bound to fall for you. What can I do? Take my badge, but my heart remains loving you, baby child.
All right. I think there's, who's going to edit that? I think, Freddie, I think there was enough in that.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So what I'll send him is the first time.
Isn't there a discrepancy between our quality of our voices?
In the well, obviously you sound a little bit thinner, but I can pump that up a little. When we finally send it to him, it'll be fine. But it's going to be they're going to use like 15 seconds of it. So
right.
Are you using the phone mic, Fred?
No, What do you mean the phone mic?
Well, you're talking into the phone, right?
Yeah, I'm talking into my iPhone. Yeah.
Okay. What are you looking at me that way for?
Because you just can't. I can't seem to get you to.
Oh, right. I have to talk really close to this.
No, it's just I don't understand you. Want me to take a picture?
No, it's okay. I got it. Yeah, I just forgot.
It's okay.
All right.
So, Fred, I'm going to send. I think what I'll do is I'll send them a little bit of that first time, and then I'll edit the part where you just said, okay. So just to sum up, but you know what? I just worry that I worry a little bit that doing it on the show on Bell is going to be a thing now with people. And by the way, we're still recording, so let's be mindful that you want to say
this may be used at some point.
Yeah, this will be used against me.
Well, I was going to say to you, and of course I forgot. Maybe just give Mike the heads up or whatever. But
well, I could call him and say, "Listen, we did this secondary bit. If you get a call from your people, well,
it's a bit. Yeah,
it's a bit."
We're turning down the show. We love it at Bell.
Yeah, well, hopefully we made that point.
Fucking head.
Yeah, it was really funny last night when I was doing this gig. Like, it was just the way the guy said to me, "Hey, can I see the picture?" It was like I built it up. I will tell you this. Until you and I spoke the other day, I never really considered the fact that you were just doing it for a bit, I thought, oh, there's Freddie P in the fucking airplane for the entire ride.
No.
No.
Not going to happen.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
Dan, thanks very much.
Oh,
although I told you, I had Darren going for a couple of days because he's a little more into, being worried about germs.
Yeah,
I told him everybody at the airport, even people down here. Well, I just told him he saw the mask picture. I had sent it to him, and he goes, "Really? It's that serious?" And I said, "Listen, more than half the plane's wearing these masks.
Oh, boy.
It's freaky."
That's awesome.
By the time he goes down there, it's probably going to be like that.
And then when I got here, I said, it's weird down here in Mexico, too. Like, half the people on the streets are wearing them now. And he says, what? And then he gets back to me, I went out and I tried to buy all these masks, and I can't get the N95 and all this. So, yeah, and I kept going. I think it was a couple of days. And saying, it's sort of something to think about. Yeah, you might want to get those masks or whatever. And
that's the best.
He was genuinely freaking out. And then Delise forced me to call off the dogs. So I had to send him an email saying all that stuff I said is wrong. There's no one wearing masks down here. Like, nobody in Mexico. Nobody is wearing a mask.
Well, if you want to see what Freddie looks like, it's on our Facebook page. Somebody just made a comment that it looks like you're wearing it upside down.
I probably am.
Yeah. And generally speaking, you wouldn't touch the top of your glasses. It would go underneath your glasses, I think.
Oh, really? Oh.
Well, I mean, you have it over top your glasses, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
It's offering zero protection.
Zero protection. And the scarf was even better.
Yeah.
Delisa's scarf.
Man, there was so much stuff that we... tomorrow on the show, Scary Pete's going to be here with his daughter, Dylan Gray. Dylan will be performing, and hopefully we'll be able to catch up on, some of the stuff that I really had meant to get to all week, but the first part of the show today, I was just kind of went all Trump, and then we had Richard on, and Tim was here, did a great job. Tim's still here. There he is. Look at him. Timmy's there. He's saying hi, Freddie.
Listen, this morning I clicked on just for a minute when I was getting ready, and I heard Richard Surratt saying he was at the doctor's office, and he saw CNN, and then his line was, he might go down as one of the greatest presidents in the history of the United States. But it's like, my next question is, how do you grade a great president? How do you, because he's a horrible human being. Yeah. What about that element? Like, how much is that in the mix?
Well, but I started
interesting.
I started the show by saying if you took away him and his personality and his disgusting manner that he conducts himself, if you just took that away and said, hey, 3 years into this guy's presidency, here are the statistical values of what that administration has done, and his approval rating around 50%, 95% in the Republican Party. If you took his personality away, that's a pretty good president. A lot of people didn't like Ronald Reagan, but he had a pretty good presidency. A lot of the people on the right didn't like Bill Clinton, but he had a pretty good run of job creation, black unemployment, etc. All the things that people grade presidents by. But you're coming in with the personality of the guy, and this is why it's hard to get around that.
Well, there's also, smarter people than me can sit down and explain how a lot of those numbers that are now happening under his watch aren't necessarily his doing. But you could talk about that for years.
Well, I said that to Dan. I said the things that happen that he talks about, we've signed into legislation. Well, that's the administration. It's not like he's going, I've got some ideas about healthcare. He hasn't. It's just he's there to do the, in a way, the bidding of his administration. Today's going to be interesting, though, because they'll vote to acquit him. But I do have a technical question, if anyone knows this. So the Congress votes to impeach him. So isn't that mean he was impeached?
Yes. By the House.
Because Sean
never
said,
take that away.
Yeah, because Sean said, well, yeah, until today, until he's acquitted. Well, he will always have been impeached.
Right. He's been put on trial.
He's going to be acquitted of high crimes and misdemeanors, but he was still impeached.
He went through the trial.
Well, no, but Freddie, he won't be acquitted of it. He'll just be they will vote not to remove him. Isn't that the vote today?
That's right.
No, it's acquittal on the charges.
Acquittal on the... Now, Clinton was impeached in the House and then censured.
And acquitted.
But then he was given a censure, was he not?
Like a warning, yeah.
But there was an official record saying, we've impeached you. We're not removing you from office, but you're
You've been censured.
Okay.
Yeah, like in Parliament.
Well, that's not going to happen.
No, impeached means, like, listen, you can be acquitted from a crime, but you can never take away the fact that you were charged with it. This is basically the same.
Right.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So
kind of that. There was a great moment. It was so weird last night. I was listening to this on the way home, and it was perfect because I got in my car about 9:45, and I had 45 minutes of that speech. And as I said to Dan earlier, Fred, and when they get into at one point he had a section. It was God and guns. Of course, he's got to say, "Don't worry, I'm going to protect your Second Amendment rights, and don't worry, God still watches over the United States of America." And I. You know how I feel about that. I'm yelling at the radio. Come on, you guys, grow the fuck up.
He's a huckster. He's a huckster. He's a snake oil salesman, and it may get him reelected. I'll tell you one thing though. Did you see in the Iowa caucuses or whatever how well Buttigieg did?
Yep.
I think he's the guy that could beat Trump. Because I think millennials, young people, I just think a lot of people that wouldn't normally come out to vote would vote for that guy.
Maybe.
I really do.
Sean Sargent has a thought. Sean, Fred Patterson's in Mexico.
I've met him before, yeah.
But he's in Mexico right now, and he's speaking.
Mexico.
So far away.
The weird thing is he's speaking into his own telephone via Skype, and we're getting broadcast quality. The whole thing is, it's a fucking miracle, Sean.
Yeah, science has come a long way.
Yeah.
No, what I was going to say, though, was the school shooting father got up and walked away, walked out of the State of the Union.
Several people walked out.
When Trump was talking guns and religion. Yeah. Right at that moment, it was like a big deal and clear divide in the room.
Tons of people. Hey, Freddie, I mentioned the Limbaugh thing and how bizarre to... I watched the video this morning because I heard it on the radio last night, but the pretend look of surprise on Limbaugh's face. Why else would he be sitting next to the First Lady? But taking Limbaugh's conservative bullshit views aside, I did say part of me was like, wow, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good career you've had in the business where you're given, forget that it's Trump, but you're given this medal for being a radio guy. I found that impressive.
And going to the crowd and acknowledging people is something that's done by all presidents all the time.
Yep.
Yeah. The only thing I would say about the Limbaugh thing, and again, this is being too critical because it's just funny. You get the Medal of Freedom, which, signifies you as a great American. But he goes on the radio every day and he spews mistruths, lies, and slanders and insults people. It just, to me, is that really a great American? Because a lot of what he says on his show is very divisive for the country, inaccurate. It didn't sit well with me. But ideally, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, again, that's our opinion that he's divisive for the country. But the 600 radio stations that carry him, those people don't think that. But I'm taking.
I know.
I'm saying politics aside. And I've been listening to this guy a long time, and you've said it, I've said it. I was always so impressed by his mechanical broadcast ability, and you guys know what I'm talking about. And
he's an amazing. And
I just thought, what a whatever you call an exclamation mark on a career. Forget the Oxycontin and all the bullshit and the hypocritical nature of him. Well, what a thing that is. And I was, even as much as I hate all of them, I was kind of struck by that. I thought, that's interesting. We can't get into the stupid Canadian Music Hall of Fame. But this guy's getting the Medal of Freedom.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what will happen.
On that point, he looks like hell.
Yeah,
I don't think he's
dying.
He's not long for this world. How about applying for that job?
Yeah, maybe. He's. By the way, your friend Darren Waslick put up, and when you get off your phone, go look on Facebook. Darren put up a picture of the type of mask that would offer better protection. It's pretty funny.
Is it the black one?
Yeah, it's the dildo face.
Pinocchio.
Yeah, it's dildo mask.
He already sent it to my buddy Doug.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, well, that's enough of that. I guess, can you... What happened there?
Oh, no, I just heard...
Was that Freddie?
Yeah.
Can you edit the little... Or do you have time today to edit the thing?
But we just have to figure out which part.
Maybe, okay, maybe... I'll tell you what. When the show's over, I'll Freddie, do you want me to send it to you first?
Send what to me? The audio? No.
Yeah.
No.
How much should I? I'll send like a minute or maybe a minute and a half, something like that.
Well, the thing is, they can do with it what they want. Just send enough that.
Hey, that's what I'll do. Here,
what?
That's what. I don't need to edit it. I'll take that segment. I'll take that 10 or 12 minute segment and go, here, you guys have whatever have fun. Fuck it. Yeah. I'm not editing it.
Yeah. Let them earn their. Yeah, if they're going to use this, let them.
Yeah, I don't work for them.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Freddie. Have a great time. Can you send me a picture of from your balcony?
Yes, I will.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Is it sunny there?
I will do that.
Is it sunny?
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Oh, good.
It's the only thing is I'm a little bit of morning allergy for me, and I'm not used to allergy. I just get a bit, so I don't know what's in the air, but it's so tropical and thick and lush where I am, and it's fantastic. And the mornings are so warm, and I have this beautiful terrace where I go up every morning, like at 7:30, 8 o'clock. It's gorgeous, wonderful.
Has anybody irritated you yet?
No.
Well, it's early days. It's early. These are early days. He's only been there for 3 or 4 days. Hey, listen, enjoy a pint at Wetback Charlie's. That'll be fun for you. And
I'll tell you, these Mexican people sure are sweethearts. Every one of them. It's amazing. God.
Well, I said that years ago to you that, before you fell in love with Mexico, that I had always had such great experiences because the people are so sweet. But you would argue, yeah, cartel, deaths, blah, blah, blah. But now you've come around, We
were talking to this Mexican fellow the other day, and we didn't really get into politics, and I don't know how we got there. But he said, where are you from? And we said, Toronto, Canada. And he goes, great. And he said, when people ask me where I'm from, you know what I say? And we said, what? And he goes, the right side of the wall.
That's great. All right, well, enjoy your time. I'll give you a call before I leave. And
okay.
I'll see if
you
there's
have
any.
Fun, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And then we'll get you when Rachel and I come back. We'll do another recap with you that week. Who reached out to me to guest Fred is Paul Romanuk.
Oh, did he really? Oh, he's ready to come back, is he?
Yeah, well, he reached out to me on the LinkedIn, and then I said, hey, it'd be great while Freddie's away. You want to come in and just, pop in while Amanda and I, because Amanda's going to guest Fred, I think, kind of most of that week, but we're going to have some special guests as well, and he wants to come in.
Excellent.
And Dan Duran, by the way, crushed it every day here.
Both days.
Larry Fedorik was very good on Monday. Really enjoyed it, and your missed Ray came in. He's the guy that said that Dan Duran's a legend, and now has told me that I'm an icon, which apparently in the Game of Thrones outranks a legend.
Are they 2 different scales, or are they on the same scale?
In my mind, they are on different scales. All right, Freddie PP, give my best to Doll and say hi to Lawrence, my brother's friend, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, right on.
Right,
take it easy.
Freddie P, everybody. Freddie fucking P. People are going crazy for the Fred picture on Facebook. That's awesome. And today would have been one of our most engaged Facebook Live audiences.
Totally. We have upwards of 60 comments right now. So
That's because people love the fucking Trump talk.
Yeah, well, it's polarizing. It's got to brings the people who like to polarize out.
Yeah, no one wants to hear stories about your dog and shit. They just want to hear about.
One thing we didn't bring up today, but it's gonna be old news tomorrow, is the guy from Toronto that was on the Jamaica flight.
Yeah,
it's from Thornhill.
Stood up and told everybody I have coronavirus, and I was in. He even messes up the place that he says he was
wrong
in.
province. He said he was from Hunan, but it's actually Hubei. Hunan has the bird flu right now. Let's be honest.
Wait a second. Hunan isn't the... I thought that too.
There's a place called Hu. North is Bay. South is Nan.
No,
Ta-da!
but Phil, a lot of people think it's Hunan.
Why would you want to go to Hunan for that?
No, I'm saying... Wuhan. Sorry, that's right. Wuhan.
Wuhan. Yes.
No, I think he got up and said, I'm with the Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah. But yeah, so the flight had to turn around. They were 2 hours into the flight to Jamaica.
Yeah.
It turned around.
What a fucking dick.
And
think about all those people that were on their way to vacation.
And Jamaica, I think, is where they're going to.
Yeah,
like not a cheap.
Hold on a second. Are you on a delay? Because He just said they're on a flight to Jamaica.
I
And
was
you're
still
like,
on
yeah,
the Wuhan thing. The Wu-Tang.
But the reason he's such a dick is that, all those people saved up their money and whatever and planned a trip.
Exactly as Sean says.
Look at sandals in Jamaica is $1,000 a day to stay there. Something like that.
No,
or
it's
a
not.
week.
It's
Or a
not
week.
it's
Something
not
like that.
For a couple.
Anyway,
But no, you just someone has just lost $1,000 and their time.
But they had to go back to Toronto, and then they went back. They believe me, they got there that day. It's like this guy decided to interrupt everyone's life by being a fucking asshole.
And all because he's an artist or something.
Yep.
He's an artist.
He got
So
back
he
and he
wanted
had
to make a
media
viral video.
availabilities. Right. He got interviewed by all the TV networks and everything at a plaza.
Wait, he said
An
I'm an artist.
artist.
That's why I did it.
Yeah.
I was just trying to make a viral video go viral. Meanwhile, if you actually look this guy up, which don't give him the time of day.
Yeah.
He is a
rapper.
He's got like a whole 100 and something followers.
It's a breakout moment for him.
He's really going
true.
for that viral fame because he hasn't reached it yet.
And again, I just think about, somewhere in the fall, most of those people were thinking, okay, in February we're going to get to go away. It'll be, terrible. And we'll get to go to Jamaica. What a wonderful thing to look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
And then, just like, like Freddie went away, Rachel and I starting to, you're planning on going away. And all of a sudden you're in the middle of the flight. You're a couple hours in, and all of a sudden, wait, what? What? You're an artist? And then now the plane's turning around? Like, I'm surprised he wasn't tackled and beaten with, puke bags.
Well, and that's what Phil and I were talking about. It's kind of a form of terrorism, is it not?
Absolutely it is.
It's bioterrorism.
Well, and not only
threatening the
terrorism,
virus.
it's terrorizing people and screwing up their plans.
Just to get a reaction.
Just to get a
Of
reaction.
which we're not interested in the reaction. It's like, like who in their right mind would think that this would be funny or interesting or... Oh, I wanted to get. What did he want to get the reaction of the passengers when he told them that he
was saying he wasn't expecting that, and that's where he apologizes. He did apologize, and so he has gone through the hoops trying to apologize.
The worst part is he's gone through the legal system before because one of his charges is he skipped the bond over a previous charge.
Whatever it is,
it's ridiculous.
When you affect other people's lives, especially in this situation where it's just like, hey, we're on our way, and you're listening to some tunes, maybe you're nodding off, and all of a sudden now the flight's turning around. I don't know if this ever happened to you, Dan, but it's happened to me once going on a vacation where we were delayed so much that we lost a day on the way there, and once coming home from, I think it might have even been Cuba. The first time I went, we were delayed where we had to stay, which is fine because you get an extra day in the sun. But that feeling of like, shit. Now, it's not $1,000 a day, but whatever it is, you're losing a day of your 7-day vacation.
Or, think of the person that hasn't had a vacation in 10 years.
Yeah. You're trapped in a plane. The same thing happened to me. I was trapped for 12 hours because it was a medical emergency of some sort. So they landed the plane, and the plane it was at an airport that didn't have the pushback thing for the.
Oh, right.
So they had to fly that in before they could get the plane going again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it was it was a minor emergency for this medical thing, but it screwed up the entire day and our arrival on the other end of things, and our rides from the airport to the resort, all that stuff just was it was exhausting.
I never mind. Like I was talking about earlier, people complaining because they're de-icing. As an aviation enthusiast, I never mind when they're delaying because of something safety.
Yeah.
And but people start complaining about it. Listen, it's about safety, and that's why air travel is so safe because they're pretty good about that. But this kind of thing is just selfish. Like, he can say he's an artist, but he's just a selfish person.
Totally.
Because if your art, do your art, and maybe he didn't anticipate that this aircraft was going to turn around. Now, why they had to do that, I'm not 100% sure.
It was based on how they would deal with an infection on an airplane.
Right.
Yeah, but
so they have
because of the
protocol
American
for what they have
restrictions
to
as
do.
well, by the way, because you can't get into the U.S. if you claim to have the coronavirus. It means the entire plane can't land in the U.S. for that reason.
But they weren't going to the U.S.
No. No, when you fly down, though, you pass through the U.S., which is where he made that comment.
And what WestJet was saying was they have their protocol for what they do exactly if something like, if coronavirus were actually on the airplane.
That's right.
They have plans and protocol in place.
Yeah, maybe not breaking it into the destination country. You've got to make sure that you're not taking it from Canada to
Right.
Jamaica.
So they were probably flying in the middle of like South Carolina or so.
But yeah, looking at it, like really pissed off if, I haven't been on vacation. Like, look at someone like my dad, didn't go on an airplane until he was 50 years old. Mm-hmm. Like, this is my first airplane ride. I'm going on vacation with my family. We've just spent thousands of dollars to go to this hotel. You've just not only taken my money, it's my time.
Yeah.
I've
what
never
I
done
said.
this before.
Whether, he thinks he was being artistic, but he's just really, in the end, just being a very selfish person. And I know that maybe he would say, well, I didn't think they were going to turn the plane around. I was just trying to do a bit. And we all know how bits can go horribly wrong. All right, Sean, thanks very much. Thanks, Dan. We'll miss you. I will miss you tonight. Last night we had dinner together. Dan and I used to be roommates.
Oh,
do you know how
we
Phil?
did, yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
For a couple years, we had this routine because I was doing the morning show, and I think at the time you were production manager.
So we're in office hours.
But you were also a pretty regular feature on my morning show.
That's right. That's when I was a police blotter. Which
it was and that's how you. I don't know if you know that
7 o'clock hour.
Dan Duran came out of this bit that we were doing because Dan's contention was that he could never get to detective because his name was unpromotable.
Right.
And then one day, apropos of really nothing, he came to me and went, "I will now be known as Dan Duran." I went, "Okay."
There you go.
If that's what you like.
Mm-hmm.
And then there he is. He's Dan Duran.
Take off.
But we would get together in the evenings and we would smoke our monkey weed. We'd get high.
Watch
and
Star
we
Trek.
watched Star Trek. But that was our routine. We get stoned and watch Star Trek reruns.
Anything space.
Cool loners together. That was great.
But that was our thing. And it was like the original Star Trek too.
Yeah, original. Anything that has Star Trek in it.
Anything Star Trekky. But I did enjoy having you in the house and having you munch on chicken thighs.
Yeah, it was good.
Tomorrow, as I mentioned, Scary Pete will be here, and then that'll be then of course Phil, excuse me, is on his way to Cambodia.
Oh yes, on Asiana.
Okay,
Which is an airline.
And yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
And then
Yep. Of course.
easy now, Phil. Please, Jesus fuck. We'll see you all tomorrow.